In his search for a better understanding of his faith and the life of Jesus Christ, Tom Harpur closely studied the 4 stories of the Gospels, but he found little evidence to support the existence of a man said to have walked the earth some 2,000 years ago.
There was so little, that is to say none, in the sense of biographical information in these so-called biographies. They're contradictory. The nativity story in Matthew contradicts the nativity story in Luke, but the contradictions are everywhere.
Tom Harpur is not alone. Timothy Frake and Peter Gandy, authors of 6 books on Christianity, also challenge the idea of an historical Jesus.
The Gospels are faith documents. They're not history documents. I think in academic circles this has been established for a very, very long time. They're faith documents. So put them on one side. You can't use them to ground the history of Jesus.
There are no divine interventions in history. There is a common sense approach to things, and the traditional history is just inadequate, I'm afraid.
On the shores of the Sea of Galilee, Christian tourists gather at the place reputed to be the house where Jesus Christ preached to his first 4 disciples. Tour guide David Ridron makes his living recounting the story of the historical Jesus Christ.
It was here along the shores of this lake where 2,000 years ago a Galilean teacher called Yeshua from a nearby town called Nazareth began its ministry and changed the world.
Yet no physical evidence has ever been found to support the existence of Yeshua, or Jesus of Nazareth. Nor is there any confirmed written evidence of the existence of Jesus Christ during that time.
We don't have, unfortunately, an historical Jesus because we have no mention of a man called Yeshua written about and described while Jesus was alive. The historical details we gain from the Bible just by reading between the lines.
There are only 24 lines in the ancient texts that come before the year 150 that refer to Jesus in any way. Most of them are ambiguous. Is this a basis on which to build a major world religion?
With such scant evidence, a few lines of historical text, Harpur began to question the very existence of Jesus Christ. Then he came across 3 19th and 20th century scholars whose writings suggest that Christ was not born in a manger in Bethlehem, but on the sands of ancient Egypt. This mysterious and complex culture only began to reveal its secrets in modern times. 200 years ago, a soldier in Napoleon's army made a startling discovery when he unearthed the Rosetta Stone at an excavation site near the Nile River. This discovery would shake the very bedrock of Christianity.
When they found this stone, they realized it was going to be of importance very quickly, because they saw that on the stone there were 3 scripts. Egyptian hieroglyphs on the top, another script that they weren't too sure about in the middle, and then Greek at the bottom.
This stone, containing a decree written 3 times in Greek, ancient Egyptian Demotic, and hieroglyphs, provided the key to the mysterious markings that cover the statues, monuments, and papyri of ancient Egypt, and opened up 3,000 years of that country's history and culture. The stone was used to study the extensive Egyptian records housed in the British Museum, and it uncovered a fascinating and familiar story, the story of Jesus.
The calming of the sea, the walking on the water, the making the lame to walk and the deaf to hear, the raising the dead, the judging of the dead, the descent into hell. It went on and on. The basic archetype of the Annunciation at the birth of Jesus in the Nativity stories by the angel Gabriel. You take a crucial verse like, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Suddenly I see these sayings, and I'm told that they come from the hieroglyphics of ancient Egypt. That's a pretty big shock, yes.
Harpur considered, was the story of Jesus Christ in fact based on that of a pagan god? Ancient Egypt, home to one of the world's oldest religions that parallels what Christians call paganism. It was a faith that related to the cycles of nature. The essence of life, birth, death, and resurrection, was often represented by the sun. To worship the sun, the most powerful force of nature, meant to worship God.
The ancient pagan world wasn't some sort of benighted, savage place. It wasn't primitive. It was a very advanced culture, which gave us philosophy, architecture, democracy, mathematics, science. And it had a highly evolved spirituality. And at the center of that spirituality were what was known as mystery cults.
At the heart of these cults were mysterious sun gods, half god, half man-like figures. Stories about them were written in hieroglyphs on the walls of the pharaoh's temples.
And at the center of the mystery cults was a myth. And the myth is about a dying and resurrecting God-man, or son of God. And if you look at the story, you see that this God-man is born of a virgin and God, sometimes on the 25th of December. He changes water into wine at a wedding. He performs other miracles. He has 12 disciples. He teaches a doctrine of love. He upsets the status quo, the religious authorities. He's put to death at Easter, sometimes through crucifixion. If you look at the cover of our book, there's a picture of a figure that looks like Jesus, but it's not. It's this pagan dying and resurrecting God-man. And then, of course, he comes back from the dead, and if you want to commune with the God-man, you take bread and wine symbolizing his body and blood. But that's not Christianity. This is paganism pre-Christian.
So we are inside this temple. We call it the bear's house or the bear's room. So here in front of us, some scenes showing us...
In the Temple of Luxor, ancient hieroglyphs describe a mythical mystery tale about a divine conception, or what Tom Harpur claims to be a virgin birth, where a mother delivers a child in a cave, and 3 sages come to visit the infant deity. It's remarkably similar to the story told at the Church of Nativity, except this one predates it by almost 2,000 years. Standing in one of the panels is the sun god, Horus.
This very important god, because also this god had the same bears or the same house.
In the texts associated with the image of Horus, Harpur found references to the Good Shepherd, the Lamb of God, and the Son of Man, all well-known biblical references to Jesus Christ.
And also in the same time, his uncle...
He claims 180 similarities between Horus and Jesus Christ.